Hey everyone, this is Libertarian Black Man. I just want to point out in a short video an economic truth that seems to be getting overlooked by almost everybody in the media. And that is that debt-based economies always fail. They always come crashing down because they're not built on real money. They're built on debt. A perfect example of how this works is by looking at what happens with consumer spending and income. In late August, we saw numbers that came out showing spending and incomes for the month of July and June. Spending increased solidly in the month of July, but income was very sluggish at the same time. Not just in July, but also in June. So consumer spending rose 0.6% in July and rose 0.3% in June. Personal incomes rose 0.1% in July and 0.5% in June. So what this shows us is that if you add up the months of June and July, we see that consumer spending outpaced incomes. 0.9% is how much consumer spending grew. 0.6% is how much incomes grew. How is it that people are spending so much money than they are earning? And the answer is debt has become too easy because we have a federal government and a Federal Reserve that wants to keep the economy growing. Even if it's fake growth, it's fine with them as long as we're not in a sluggish period or a slowdown or a recession. And so debt is their device that they use to keep the economy from slowing down. But of course, it does not change the fact that Americans really don't have the money to support a constant economic growth cycle. So most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have the money to spend on things that they want. That is why they borrow money. They just don't have it in the bank, and so they have to get a loan for which they have to pledge to pay it back with interest. The problem is that Americans are struggling to make ends meet each month. 59% of them, according to a Charles Schwab survey, said they're living paycheck to paycheck. And half of them say they carry credit card debt and struggle to keep up with the payments. When you have debt, that becomes a part of the bills you pay. And whether it's a mortgage or whether it is a car loan, a student loan, a business loan, credit card, it becomes part of the bills that you pay each month. It is one of the reasons we're struggling to make ends meet, because we are trying to pay back debt along with paying other bills. So as a result, we can't save, and in a very sad way, it actually encourages us to borrow more money because there are things we want to pay for that we are unable to afford. One of the reasons, again, is because we're already paying back previous debt, but we have to get into new debt to try to pay bills. So this is a cycle that keeps our economy from growing in a real way, but we can make it grow in a phony way by just keeping the debt machine going. Debt allows you to spend what you do not have, but you can't do that forever because at some point even the debt begins to run out, because debt has to be accumulated by others. When you borrow money from a bank, somebody else saved it, and therefore you're able to spend it because someone else saved it. Well, what happens when no one is saving anymore because almost everyone is living paycheck to paycheck? That is when everything comes crashing down. That is when you have governments and central banks having to turn on the printing presses and do all other kinds of things to try to make money come out of thin air to keep the economy going. But all that does is create inflation and make the whole problem worse. And that is the reason why America and the rest of the world will inevitably go into a recession, a severe one, perhaps the most severe one we've ever seen, because we've never seen this much debt grow. We've never seen this much debt accumulate in the history of the country or in the world. Specifically, In America, we have over $100 trillion of debt if you count all of the corporate debt, household debt, local, state, and federal government debt, and unfunded liabilities or pension and health care programs into the future. Over $100 trillion of debt exists. At the same time, the economy is only about $20 trillion in its annual GDP, and the total amount of physical dollars that exists is only about $3.5 trillion. The world is in $250 trillion of debt, yet the world economy only produces about $80 trillion of goods and services per year. I have done videos on both of these subjects in the past. One on the world being entirely bankrupt, another one being on American debt. So please look at those videos that I have already made months ago talking about American debt and world debt. And you will see that we are in no position to have an economy grow from this point on. We're going to continue to have the boom-bust cycle and phony wealth, phony prosperity until we realize that the way you grow an economy is not through debt, it is through savings. It is not through making money easy. It is through making money, it's through allowing the marketplace to determine the price of money instead of governments and central banks, which do nothing but artificially depress the price of money to create an artificial stimulus in the economy that cannot last. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel Libertarian Black Man and follow us on Twitter at Libertarian Black Man, and we hope to see you in the next video.